I have the Roland RD-2000 here for only a few days. It belongs to one of my fellow pianists from my team, where I've been involved for the last 5 years, who was kind to borrow the board to me for a week, and I wanted to use the time properly. And before I compare every piano sound, every electric piano and every live feature, I want to start with the one thing you cannot fix later. The action. The feel under your fingers. Because if the keybed does not work for your hands, the rest of the instrument is already compromised. This is the Roland RD-2000 with the Roland PHA-50 hybrid wood and plastic action. And this is the Nord Piano 5 with Nord's triple sensor grand weighted action. Both are serious stage pianos. Both are used by serious players. But they feel very different when you actually sit down and play them. In this video, I'm not trying to crown one winner for everyone. That would be lazy. I want to answer a better question. Which action suits which player? And more practically, which one would I want under my hands for a long worship set, a wedding gig, a studio session, or a serious practice session at home? For context, I've been playing piano for over 35 years. And music directing for over 15 years. I own and use Nord keyboards, so I know the Nord world well. I played the Roland RD-600 for over 2 years in the past, and regardless of which board I own, I'm going to be testing this Roland RD-2000 honestly. I own a Nord Stage 4 as well. However, since Roland RD-2000 was released at the beginning of 2017, I see a fair comparison between Nord Piano 5 and the Roland RD-2000 rather than using my Nord Stage 4. The RD-2000 has been around for years, but it still has a reputation for one thing, the keybed. So let's find out whether that reputation is still deserved. The first test is soft control. This matters because a lot of stage piano demos are played too hard. That hides the most important part of the action. Can you control the first few layers of sound without forcing the notes? On the Roland, the first thing I notice is how settled the key feels at low velocity. It has a heavier, more piano-like presence under the fingers, but it does not feel like I have to fight it to play quietly. The key seems to move with a control resistance. There is a sense of weight, but also a sense of predictability. That makes soft playing easier to trust, especially when you are trying to sit underneath a vocal or when the whole band is holding back. I call this Keybed's resolution. This is a metric that's beyond the Keybed's feel. I consider this as my main contributor to a high realism score, since this gives you that range of dynamic in your playing as a pianist. The higher the resolution, the bigger range of dynamics in your playing. How difficult it is to control the softest sound versus an accent or pianissimo versus forte. If you like this video, you'll also like what we do at Pianord Lab, where we look at all the keybeds used in all stage pianos like NWX, PHA, Millennium and more, and score them on a realism score versus price graph. Link on how to join Pianord is either in the upper corner or in the description of the video and the pinned comment. On the other hand, on the No Piano 5, the action feels a little more compact and immediate. It is still a proper weighted action, and for live playing, that immediacy can be very, very useful. But compared with the Roland, the resistance feels different as you move farther back into the keys. If you play a lot of chords close to the fallboard, you may feel that more clearly. This is where Keybed designs starts to matter. On any digital piano action, the pivot point affects how much effort it takes to play near the back of the key. The longer and better balanced the key movement feels, the more natural it is to play deep into the keybed. The shorter or more compact it feels, the more resistant you tend to notice near the fallboard. I'm not measuring this with the lab equipment today, I'm judging it as a player under the hands with the same musical material on both boards. And in that test, the Roland feels easier and more even when I play deeper into the keys. The Nord still feels very playable, but it asks for a bit more intention in the deeper position. The second test is repetition. This matters for gospel lines, worship builds, pop piano patterns, repeated octaves and fast restrikes. A good action should return cleanly and let you repeat without feeling sticky or vague. Let's try the note now. The Roland feels very solid in this test. The return is confident. There is a sense that the key comes back ready for the next note, which makes repeated patterns feel secure. Roland PHA Keybed has escapement feature. On a real grand piano, when you press a key, a jack pushes a hammer up toward the string. If the hammer stayed connected to the key all the way up, it will smash into the string and mute it. To prevent this, a mechanical piece strips the jack just before the hammer hits the string. The hammer is escaped or released to fly the rest of the way on its own inertia and bounce off the string freely. That movement of release creates a tiny physical click or notch of the resistance when the key is pressed down about halfway. How digital piano emulates this? Digital pianos do not have strings, so they need to find a workaround. They do not mechanically require escapement to function. Instead, premium actions like this Roland PHA use a smaller rubber or silicone tab inside the key mechanism. When you press the key past its midpoint, the action forces a component over this tab, creating that authentic tactile bump or dip in resistance. Why does it matter to your piano playing? Well, different reasons. Ultra quiet control for the pianissimo. The main benefit is control every soft dynamics. If you are an experienced pianist, you'll use that physical notch as a tactile boundary. There is muscle memory as well. If you've been playing this for a long time on acoustic grand pianos, you will appreciate this because having an escapement mechanism preserves your muscle memories. There is legato and trills. It helps you gauge the key depth needed for rapid repetitions. You do not always have to let the key return completely to top to play again. Why some stage pianos dropped it? Yamaha dropped it on their CP88 and so did Nord for their piano series. First is smoothness for non-piano sounds. Stage pianos are frequently used for organ snares, so you don't need that. Another reason would be mechanical durability. Removing the extra physical components reduces weight and minimizes the parts that can wear out over years of heavy touring and playing. Having escapement feature on the Roland PHA Keybed does not mean it is light. It is not a featherweight action, but the weight feels controlled. On the Nord Piano 5, the repeated notes feel quickly and practical for stage use. The Nord has that familiar live board response where the sound is immediate and the action does not feel sluggish. Where I notice the difference is in the physical stability of the key. The Roland gives me more of that planted feeling. The Nord gives me more of a portable stage piano feeling. And depending on what you play, either one may be the better compromise. Now let's test bigger chords and dynamics. This is where fatigue can creep in. Not after 5 minutes in a shop when you're testing your new board, but rather after the second set in a Sunday service, after rehearsal, after a long Sunday morning where you have already played sound checks, rehearsals and full service, or sometimes full 2 services. So let's check now some starting soft, then go to medium and then go very strong. And we'll use a wide voicing. The Roland gives me a wider feeling of control from soft to strong. When I push, it does not collapse into the keybed. When I back off, it still feels connected. That is probably one of the biggest compliments I can give an action. It lets me forget about the keyboard for a moment and think about the musical phrase. On the other hand, the Nord PHA-50 feels more stage focused. It is responsive, direct and easier to leave with physical as an instrument you move around. But under heavier chord work, I personally feel more resistance and a little less of that acoustic piano-like depth. See my Nord PHA-50 video review for more in-depth analysis. That does not make Nord bad. In fact, for many live players, the Nord's compromise makes sense. It is lighter to transport, very fast to operate, and it gives you the Nord piano library with a very simple front panel. But if the question is only keybed feel, the Roland is making a very strong case. There is one test which might be relevant to many playing while standing up. Personally, I don't. However, I wanted to touch upon that. A lot of stage pianos feel different when you are standing. Your wrist angle changes and your arm weight changes as well. And if the stand height is wrong, everything feels worse. Standing up, I would notice the Roland's weight and resistance more, but I would also notice its stability. The Nord is easier approach as a gigging board. It feels lighter under the hands and it's physically easier to carry to a gig. So this is where the comparison becomes less about which action is better in isolation and more about what kind of player you are. If you are mostly a pianist and your priority is feel, control, confidence under the fingers, the RD-2000 has the stronger action for me. If you are a gigging player who values portability, fast operation, Nord sounds and a very direct live workflow, the Nord PHA-50 would make more of sense. Next, I want to check stability. When you play, you do not always strike the center of every key perfectly. You play, if I can call it, diagonally. You reach into awkward shapes. You hit octaves, broken chords and fast transitions. That is where key wobble, side movement and uneven return can affect your confidence playing. The Roland feels more planted under off-center playing. That is consistent with the way Roland describes the PHA-50 as a premium hybrid action with escapement and texture key tops. It feels built for people who want a more piano-like physical response. The Nord PHA-50 feels more compact and lighter in the overall playing experience. That is part of why people love gigging with Nords. You get a serious piano library, a familiar panel and a lighter board compared with the Roland. But if you are very sensitive to action, you should test it carefully before making a decision which one to buy. Especially if you play long sessions or come from an acoustic piano background. Now there is a cost to the Roland action, and it's not just money. It is weight. The RD-2000 is officially 21.7 kilos. The Nord PHA-50 88 keys is officially 18.5 kilos. That difference matters if you carry your own gig. 3 kilos may not sound dramatic on paper, but after cables, pedals, stand, case and a long walk from the car park, you will feel it. So here's the honest trade-off. The Roland gives you the stronger piano action experience. The Nord gives you the more portable, immediate stage piano experience with a great sample library which is free to upload to your board, unlike Roland, which is not free. There is one more group we need to mention. If you use software pianos like Keyscape's Pianotech Mainstage or a laptop rig, the RD-2000 becomes even more interesting. Roland built it as a very serious controller with zones, sliders and USB audio and MIDI integration. The No Piano 5 can send MIDI over USB, but it is not the same kind of master controller instrument. So if your rig is built around software instruments, the Roland may suit you better. If your rig is built around quick hardware sounds, minimal setup and the Nord ecosystem, the Nord may still be the calmer choice. Personally, I went with the Nord because of the sound. The sample sound are very important for you. So here is my honest Keybed verdict after playing both side by side. For pure piano feel, I prefer the Roland RD-2000. It feels more substantial, more control and more reassuring for expressive piano playing. For live practicality, especially if I'm moving the keyboards every week, the No Piano 5 still has a very strong argument. It is lighter, simpler and faster to operate. And that matters in real life. If you are choosing between these two, do not decide only by listening to YouTube sound demos. Test 3 things. First, play softly. Second, play deep into the keys using the black keys. Third, play for long enough to feel whether your hands relax or tense up. That will tell you more than a spec sheet. I have made a free stage piano touch and tone scorecard to go with this comparison. It gives you a simple way to score any stage piano action across fill, repetition, fatigue, control, tone and live workflow. You can use it for the RD-2000, the No Piano 5, Yamaha CP8 Kawai or anything else you are considering. The link is in the description and pinned comment, and it's free. And that is exactly the kind of practical testing I'm building inside Pianord's lab. The YouTube channel is where I share the public comparisons and honest reviews. Pianord Lab is where the deeper workflows, setup checklists, patches, and member questions live. So download the scorecard first, use it properly, then if you want deeper help building a reliable live rig, join the Pianord Lab, link in the description of the video and pinned comment. For the first round, the Roland wins the Keybed for me. If you watched my other videos where I looked at Yamaha CP88, as of now, Yamaha CP88 Keybed is still the preferred one for me. However, I will need to play the RD-2000 for more than 5 days, so to make a more confident call. Also, if you follow this channel, I'm sure you've seen how positively impressed I was by the Nord Stage 4 Keybed when I went to test it in store. Find that video and watch it. The Nord Piano 5 still wins a lot of real-world gigging points, and that is exactly why this comparison is worth doing properly. Like and follow for more relevant videos. There you have it, Roland RD-2000 versus No Piano 5 Keybed analysis. See you next time. I'll play you out.